Hi everyone, and welcome back to Nick in the Kitchen. Today I'm going to be making eggs 3 ways because, as you can see, I'm in my loungewear. Got a little bed head. Yes, I have on makeup. I mean, you know, some people just wake up beautiful. Beyonce said it, not me. So we're going to be making eggs 3 ways. I'm going to start out with some baked eggs, kind of like mini quiches, if you can think of it that way. Then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to make the perfect scrambled egg, and then we're going to round it out with boiling an egg perfectly every single time. I like my eggs medium to kind of soft, but I'll show you all the ways that you can do that. So let's get started with our baked eggs. All right, so what we have going on right now is I have 2 ramekins. I'm just gonna make 2 of these. So 2 4-ounce, I believe, ramekins. You can do it in any size. You just wanna adjust your bake time by how much volume you have. I have some heavy cream. I have some of my favorite. It's a McCormick garlic and herb salt-free blend. I like to add this in. It adds a lot of flavor without adding saltiness, which we are gonna add salt, but you can adjust it yourself based on your ingredients. Also have my avocado oil spray and a lot of different ingredients here. So we're gonna make 2 different versions, an all veggie one and then one with some pancetta. So we'll call that our Italian one maybe, and go from there. So the first thing I'm gonna do is make sure that I spray the inside of my ramekin. This will keep the egg from sticking once it's baked. Because eggs, I don't know if you've ever got egg white on anything and not been able to get it off. That's what it'll do to these little pots. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I personally like to add in my eggs and my cream first. You can do this with heavy cream. You can use a non-dairy substitute. I use soy milk sometimes. So it's really up to what you wanna use if you're dairy free. I'm gonna go with 2 eggs in a ramekin this time. And a tip is, if you know you're gonna make these, go ahead and buy your eggs the day before or the day of. The fresher your eggs, the higher they rise without any other help but air that you'll whip into them. So I'm gonna crack 2 in each one just to get the egg cracking out of the way. All right, so before I add anything else, I'm gonna whip my eggs. I think that whipping them to the right color makes sure that you get enough air in there so that you know you're gonna have really beautiful baked egg quiches. All right, so what we're looking for when we're whipping is a pale yellow color. That means there's enough air in there, it's been whipped up, we can get it done. You can do this in a separate container, but I like to minimize dishes, even though you can't tell by all the prep bowls that I have out right now. But if I wasn't showing you guys, I would really keep everything on the cutting board and make sure that I'm just adding to this dish in my fork. It takes, depending on how fast you whip and how used to it you are, it'll take about 1.5 minutes to get the color that we want. And so what we're looking for, like I said, is the pale yellow color and also this. So it's okay if it's stringy somewhat, but we want it to be able to run back into it because it means that the yellow and the white are combined very well rather than having these like big globs of the whites. Okay, so we have both of them whipped. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in my heavy cream and I'm gonna add in my salt and pepper and I'm gonna whisk it one more time. At that point, we'll move forward to adding in our ingredients. So I'm gonna add in about 1 tablespoon of cream, just eyeballing it because I'm dangerous like that, and whip this up one more time. And what we're really just trying to do is get the cream and the egg to be combined. All right, so we've got that one. Let's go ahead and add in some salt. I'm just adding in about just a little pinch of everything. You can always re-season at the end, and I also like to do things like add hot sauce to my little baked eggs at the end, so having it too salty or too peppery kind of throws that balance off. All right, so we're good here. So now's the fun part. We get to add everything in before we put it in the oven. So for my veggie one, I have some sauteed shiitake mushrooms. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw those in there. Actually, I'm gonna just throw the whole thing in there. It's eggs, it can't be too bad for you. And then I'm gonna add in some green onions. I'll reserve some because I like to add them in at the end. I'm also gonna add in some spinach that I've chopped up and some chives. We'll do chives here. And now I'm just kind of whipping this in, stirring it in really, just to get the vegetables into the egg mixture because it's all gonna bake up. You can cut your spinach more fine if you want it to really be consistent, but I don't really mind because it looks fine either way. It's gonna bake up. You're still gonna have your air holes because we did that prior to adding in the ingredients. And now for our Italian one, we'll add in some pancetta that I've already made crispy. We're definitely adding all of that in because I don't care if bacon is American or Italian, it's delicious. And then we're gonna add in our shallots. I really, really like shallots in place of onions for something like this. Shallots are actually a part of the lily family, and so you do get a little bit of that floral note when you eat them, especially with eggs. And then I have my cheeses here. This is just some cheddar and more cheddar, actually sharp and mild cheddar. I just want to eat one because I love cheese. And I'm not going to add any spinach to this one because we already have our healthy one here, so this is going to be our indulgent one. And now that these are mixed up together, I'm going to toss these in the oven and they'll bake for 12 to 15 minutes. All right, so now let's get into our scrambled eggs. I like really fluffy scrambled eggs, and the secret behind that is actually water. So a lot of times you'll get people who tell you to add cream or add milk, and while that does add a bit of unctuousness and makes it more fatty, because that's what heavy cream is, it doesn't give you the same fluffiness that water gives you, because as water cooks, it evaporates from the eggs, and then the steam causes the egg to fluff up. So the way to do this is to first mix up our eggs. We just want to whip them up till everything is kind of one mixture. So I'm going to whip these around. And we're not going to add in our salt and pepper yet. Adding salt in too early to our eggs will make them tough, and adding the pepper in can make them kind of gray looking. So we're going to wait until they're almost finished to do that. Same with the cheese. We'll add that in once it's in the pan if you want cheese in your scrambled eggs. And then I'm going to add in just about a tablespoon of water. It's all going to cook out. So that was actually probably half a tablespoon because I only did 2 eggs. But when I'm cooking eggs for my family, I like to add in a tablespoon of water per about 4 eggs. So I whip these up. Here's the color and the texture you're looking for. And so now we're gonna take this and our salt and pepper over to our pan. So the first thing we're gonna do is add in about a half a tablespoon of butter to our pan. And our pan is set to medium low heat. You don't want these to cook too quickly because then the eggs will get done before the water has evaporated. So we're gonna let that melt in. And again, we are going to slowly pour our eggs into the pan. And so with scrambled eggs, you want them to move around, of course, but with these, they're a little bit more slow scrambled. So we do want to move them, but we don't want to shake it around too much. We're basically taking the edges and pushing them towards the center. And that's the way we're going to continue to do throughout the process. This gives you a folded egg look, but also helps so that your egg scrambles and your water evaporates and you get that really nice fluffy egg that we're going for. You can also do this on a much lower heat, but I feel like that takes so long, and when you want eggs, you really want eggs right now. And as our eggs are cooking down, we can go ahead and add in our salt. You can also add in some of our pepper. This is a coarse grind, but feel free to use whatever you like and whatever you have. And then I'm just gonna kind of fold it, and at that point, Now we have like more of a scrambled look to our eggs. It's also really, really important to use a non-stick pan. It's just gonna make your life easier when it comes to making eggs. So I'm gonna remove these from the heat and add them to a plate. All right, so we have our scrambled eggs here. I'm just gonna grab a plate and I'm gonna slide these right out of the pan onto our plate. And so we have these really lovely eggs. And I just like to take them and add some green on top because it just makes it look better. And we have this here. I need a fork because I want to taste them. So I'm just gonna cut into here. I didn't add cheese to these, but you can. It's so simple. Their eggs, they're so good. They have a good balance of salt. They have the pepper in there, so seasoned very simply. The chives add a good flavor on top. But what's really important here is the texture. They're very fluffy on the inside, super light. And they have just enough crisp on them from sitting in the pan with the butter. And they have that kind of residual buttery flavor. It's so good. These are perfect for any brunch you want to make. You saw how easy they are. Or just a regular breakfast when you're feeling like scrambled eggs versus anything else. Now, I'm not going to eat all of these because we have like more eggs to eat. So let me show you now about these boiled eggs. So the last egg we're gonna do, and the easiest one to do, are the boiled eggs. We're really just gonna take some boiled eggs and we're gonna add them to boiling water, duh. But I'm gonna show you the technique and the process that'll get you a perfectly cooked egg every single time and one that's easy to peel. So the key here, starting out, is to use eggs that are a little bit older. Those are easier to peel. Just the opposite of our baked egg situation. And then the second key is to add it to water that's already boiling, not putting them in cold water and letting it come to a boil. That way we can time exactly how long the egg's been cooking and we can get the exact yolk that we want. So add them gently to the water. And we're gonna let them go in there. And for the middle that I like, the yolks that I like, I'm gonna do it for just about 7 minutes. And I'm gonna reduce the heat a little so that it is not on all the way high and at a rapid boil. It's more at a low boil to a simmer. And they're gonna go for 7 minutes to get that jammy, perfect interior. All right, so now that our eggs have been boiling for about 7 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of the hot pot. Be very careful with this. Use a better spoon than I just did. And I'm gonna add them to a bowl of ice water. This stops the egg from cooking and also allows it to firm up just a bit so that we can easily pull away the shell. All right, so now we have our boiled eggs. They've been sitting in that ice water for a good amount of time. And so we're just gonna crack them. Try to get them cracked kind of around because it's a lot easier for you to get the shell off. And you just want to make sure when you're peeling that you get an opportunity to grab some of that membrane because that's what's going to make it super easy for this to come off. And so as you can see, this is coming off pretty simply. I'm trying not to get all the shells on the board. I like a soft egg in the center, so mine is pressing down a little bit more than yours may if you like a more well done egg. But wait till I show you the center. All right, so now we have our egg here. And I'm gonna cut it open and it's perfect. As you can see, it's super jammy. It's got just enough firmness in the yolk around the edges closest to the white. The white is completely done and completely set. And then that is perfect for dipping things in it, especially toast, which I wish I had right now to dip in here. So I'm gonna take these and put these on the plate and kind of put that to the side. And if you heard that, that was our baked eggs. And so now I'm gonna go and grab those and add them to the tray so you can see just how beautiful those are. Okay, all right, you guys. So I have my eggs fresh out of the oven. You see the rise on these? This happens when you bake them. This is the rise we're talking about. Now, because they're baked eggs, they will sink a little bit, but the higher they rise, the lower they'll actually sink. And so we have our veggie one here that's full of green. And so you know it's healthy and it's good. And then we have our Italian one here that you can see the cheese that's just kind of bubbling around the center. They're like hot lava inside, so I wouldn't suggest you do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm risky. So we're just gonna take a piece because I want you guys to see the inside of that. So you can see the air pockets from where we whipped it up with the fork and how it rose in the oven. This is my favorite combo. The shallots give you that onion feel without being too overpowering, which is really nice. And then you get pieces of that crispy pancetta. And we have the cheese, which if you're like me and you love cheese, that's the best part of this thing. And you know what? I'm okay. I eat healthy too. I'm gonna eat some of this veggie one also. And again, again, that texture is perfect. So we have the air pockets. That's how you know that they're light and fluffy and you don't have a really dense and stodgy muffin. You have the greens in there that remain that really pretty bright green color. And then we have our mushrooms that's kind of serving the same purpose as the pancetta and the other one. And the chives, which are really good, and those green onions. Either one of these would be a crowd pleaser. People will love them. You'll love them. You can make them in advance. They're perfect for brunches. You know, take the time and make these things and enjoy all of your eggs the way that I have. I hope you enjoyed eating breakfast with me this morning. See you next time. Bye.